Okay, hello. So this is now 2:05, and I think we should start. We don't want to keep other people waiting. So hello, welcome to the technical run of the 9th YTN-HUFS Elementary School English Debating Championship. My name is Haesung Pyun, and I am the tournament director of this tournament. The technical run we are doing today is an orientation for students who are not familiar with online debate tournaments. We expect students to be fully prepared for the online tournament system through this. And if you have any questions during the technical run, we will have a Q&A session at the end, so please feel free to ask them. 안녕하세요. 저는 이번 대회 토너먼트 디렉터 편혜성입니다. 본 테크니컬 런은 온라인 대회에 익숙하지 않은 학생들 또는 영어 토론 대회가 처음인 학생들을 위해 진행하는 사전 리허설입니다. 이번 대회 테크니컬 런은 기본적으로 영어로 진행하되 중요한 부분은 한국어로도 다시 설명드릴 예정입니다. 그럼 이제 테크니컬 런을 시작하도록 하겠습니다. Notice that we will also reiterate important announcements also in Korean as well, so that people can also understand what we are doing and talking about. Okay. Table of contents. This is how the technical run is going to go. First, we will have the TD briefing, with TD briefing going through the following. First is a brief overview, talking about communication methods, what are the debate platforms you're going to use. And then secondly, we're going to talk about communication channels. I'm going to explain in depth how each communication channel will be used in our tournament. And then thirdly, regarding debate platforms, we're going to talk about how Zoom cameras need to be set up, how to change your Zoom names. And then lastly, we're just going to go through the step-by-step explanation about how the debate is going to flow and is going to occur. Lastly, fifthly, the schedule of the tournament, and 60 unexpected situations that people might face and what kind of guidelines they can actually resort to. And then lastly is the contact methods, how you can actually contact the organizing committee. After the TD briefing, we have the CAP briefing, which will be covering the important rules regarding the tournament. You will listen to the TD briefing here, and for the CAP briefing, it will be done separately for General and EFL League teams, where the General League will be done in English and the EFL League in Korean. So if you want to listen to the CAP briefing conducted in Korean, you may join the EFL League's CAP briefing, even if you're in the General League. 지금 보시는 내용이 오늘 진행될 테크니컬 런의 목차인데요. 우선 토너먼트 디렉터 TD인 제가 진행하는 TD 브리핑을 진행한 후 심판진에서 진행하는 CAP 브리핑이 있을 예정입니다. TD 브리핑에서는 줌과 같이 대회에서 사용되는 플랫폼과 대회 운영 방식을 설명드리고 CAP 브리핑에서는 토론 규칙 및 규정을 다룰 예정입니다. 그럼 TD 브리핑으로 시작하겠습니다. So first is the overview. So regarding communication channel, we have 4 communication channels. The first is the Google website, which is different from the official website that we have. Second is the Kakao Talk, where we will have general and EFL open chat rooms. Thirdly is the email used for YTN debating. And lastly is phone calls that you can use to contact the organizing committee. We will discuss all of this later. And the second thing is the debate platforms, where we usually would use Zoom. We will be having separate rooms for each league and use breakout rooms within each room for debate rounds. We will look through all of this in detail later. 지금 보시는 것처럼 소통 채널은 4가지가 있고요. 첫 번째로는 구글 웹사이트, 두 번째로는 카카오 오픈 채팅방, 세 번째로는 이메일, 그리고 네 번째로는 전화가 있습니다. 토론 플랫폼으로는 줌을 메인으로 활용을 하게 되는데 이번 대회도 작년과 마찬가지로 리그별로 2개의 줌 회의실을 연 뒤 각 회의실 내에 소회의실에서 토론이 진행됩니다. 학생들도 더 수월하게 토론방을 찾을 수 있으며 운영위원회 측에서도 진행 상황 등을 더 쉽게 모니터링할 수 있어 이 방식을 도입하게 되었습니다. 그럼 이제 대회 소통 채널에 대해 세부적으로 더 설명을 드리겠습니다. Okay, so first is regarding the Google website. So the website is important to differentiate from our official homepage that you use to apply this. This Google page will be used specifically and only for this ninth tournament. This website contains the following links and files. 지금 보시는 구글 홈페이지는 대회 참가 신청을 한 공식 홈페이지와는 다른데요. 저희 공식 홈페이지는 지난 초등, 중등, 고등대회를 모두 다루는 반면 이 홈페이지는 이번 9회 초등대회를 위해서만 사용되기 때문에 대회 당일에는 공식 홈페이지가 아닌 해당 홈페이지를 적극적으로 이용해 주시기 바랍니다. Okay, so let's take a look at this all together. So we just uploaded the link in the TechRun chat, and we recommend you to go to the homepage and follow along as I explain it. 지금 테크니컬 톡방에 홈페이지 링크 올려드렸으니 직접 접속하셔서 제 설명을 따라오시면 더 이해하기 쉬우실 것 같습니다. Okay, so if you look at the homepage, with already the links uploaded in the TechRun Kakao open chat room, you can first see the links to Zoom, where we have two main halls, so one main hall for General League and one main hall for the EFL League. And then if you look closer, you also have the important links, including the tournament information packet and also the tournament inquiry and complaint form. We have already sent you the tournament information packet to contact person's individual emails a few days ago, so you should already be having access to that. Thirdly, we have the technical run important materials. We have the technical run Zoom link, which you already have, which is the reason as to why you're here. And then we also have the technical run PPT as well, which is the PPT that we are using in today as well. Lastly, we have the tournament rulebook and guidelines, and we want to flag out that especially to please read the tournament guidelines before the tournament, because this describes how the tournament operates in a much more detail than in the tech run. 온라인 대회 가이드는 본 테크니컬 런에서 설명드리는 내용을 훨씬 더 자세히 담고 있으니 대회 전에 특히 대회 가이드를 꼼꼼하게 읽어주시기 바랍니다. And then fifthly, we have contact things. And if you go over to the top banner of the slide, you'll also be able to see schedule, participant list, and video. And I think all people probably have seen the schedule and the participant list before, but the important thing I want to flag out is the video part, where in the upper right corner, we have a videos tab. And after the technical run, we will be uploading the recorded version of the technical run on YouTube, as well as our website. So if there are other members who did not watch the technical run, I think people should recommend other team members to also see the technical run uploaded on YouTube, so that other members are also able to familiarize themselves with this technical run. And also, if people did not really understand the technical run as they were watching this, you can also re-watch it in YouTube or in the website that we are telling you. So please hope to re-watch it again. Okay, so I think that's all for the Google website. That's all for the important links. And then we want to move on to the inquiries and complaint form. So please use this form to submit any kind of inquiries or complaints that you have before, during, or after the tournament. The form must be written by the team members rather than their parents or their coach. And after the form is submitted, the organizing committee will investigate what happened and inform the teams of the appropriate measures taken. 대회 이전, 도중, 이후의 건의사항이나 요청사항을 제기할 때 해당 구글 폼을 사용하시면 됩니다. 제기할 컴플레인이 있는 팀이 직접 작성하셔야 하며 학부모나 코치가 대신 작성하실 수 없습니다. 폼을 제출해 주시면 추후 운영위원회 측에서 사태 파악 및 조사 진행 뒤 알맞은 조치를 취해 연락드릴 예정입니다. The inquiry and complaint form can also be found on the Google website, and also you'll upload it in the Kakao open chat room whenever teams actually have a complaint. So if there are any complaints within or before or after the tournament, please feel free to write this complaint form. And then next we have the announcement banner within the Google website. And the important thing here is that as we do not have a parent waiting room, unlike offline tournaments, and therefore we will use the announcement banner to frequently update and inform parents and guardians of the progress of the tournament. 기존 오프라인으로 진행되었던 대회와는 다르게 온라인 대회는 학부모 대기실이 없고 학부모와 선생님들은 아이들이 있는 방에 들어가실 수 없습니다. 따라서 대회 진행 상황을 알려드리고자 홈페이지 상단 배너를 활용하고 있습니다. 저희 운영진 측에서는 공지 배너를 통해 실시간으로 진행 상황을 업데이트 해드립니다. 예시를 들어드리자면 예를 들어 현재 토론 진행 상황 같은 게 보통 올라가고 스케줄 지연, 예상 시간 등 공지나 홈페이지를 자주 새로 고침하시면 대회 진행 상황을 아실 수 있으니 참고 부탁드립니다. To give you an example of the announcements, it would look like announcement on round 1 debate ending at 11:30, and then lunch going to happen on 11:30 to 1 p.m. or announcement being due to technical delays, we will have 20-minute delay, and round 3 debate is going to start at 4 p.m. to 6 and is expected to end at 6 p.m. These are examples that that you're more likely to be seeing in the announcement banner on Google website. So for parents, guardians, and coaches, if you are wondering about the status quo of the tournament, please check the announcement banner. Okay, and then I think it's all over for Google website. And then let's look at the KakaoTalk open chat. So in the KakaoTalk open chat, we will have the announcements and roll calls within that chat. And the link and the code to which you can access this KakaoTalk open chat has already been sent by the information packet. The information packet has been sent to the contact person's email, and you should be having all of that. The important thing here is that KakaoTalk open chat is only one person for each team is allowed to join this. And all of those people should join by February 8th, which is Wednesday. So please follow those instructions. And the roll call is going to go like this. So a poll will be uploaded on KakaoTalk like this. If you see the picture above, it's going to upload like that. And if all 4 members are present and all 3 devices have entered Zoom, check all present and all enter Zoom. If there are some members that are missing, for example, one of the students went to the restroom and therefore is missing, or that you only have 2 devices that actually enter Zoom, please check some missing, and only after that person goes to his place is the point to which you can check all present. And then once every team checks all present and all enter Zoom, we will be resuming the debate. 출석 체크는 이렇게 진행됩니다. 저희는 각 라운드 전마다 톡방을 통해 출석 체크를 진행하며 모든 팀이 준비가 되었을 때 라운드를 시작합니다. 팀원 4명이 모두 있다면 all present를 체크하고 줌 방에 3개의 기기가 모두 들어온 상태라면 entered Zoom에도 체크합니다. 만약 몇 명이 화장실을 가는 등 자리를 비운 상태라면 some missing에 체크했다가 해당 학생이 돌아왔을 때 all present로 다시 투표하시면 됩니다. 이렇게 해서 모든 팀이 all present와 entered Zoom을 동시에 체크를 했을 때 다음 라운드를 시작하게 됩니다. So because I do know that this is quite a hard process to follow, let's practice the roll call process on KakaoTalk. So if you haven't joined KakaoTalk chat for this tech run, here's the QR code and you can scan and join this now. We'll be uploading the roll call poll in about a couple of minutes. So if you want to practice how the roll call is done so that you're able to familiarize yourself with how the debate actually operates, please join this chat right now. 방금 보여드린 출석 체크 과정을 한번 연습해 볼 건데요. 지금 화면에 뜨는 QR코드는 테크니컬 런 톡방의 링크입니다. 아직 들어오시지 않은 분들은 지금 들어와 주시기 바랍니다. 저희가 곧 출석 체크 투표를 이곳에 올릴 테니 some missing도 체크해 보셨다가 all present로 다시 바꾸셨다가 enter Zoom이랑 all present 2개 동시에 투표할 수 있는지 등등 확인해 보시기 바랍니다. Important thing to keep in mind is that the chat room will only be used for the technical run. So please make sure that the contact person from each team actually joins the actual chat that is going to be used for the tournament. 이 톡방은 오늘 테크니컬 런 때만 사용이 될 예정이고요. 대회 때는 다른 채팅방을 사용하므로 꼭 2월 9일 수요일 전까지 팀마다 한 명씩 해당 톡방에 들어오시기 바랍니다. Okay, so the poll I think is uploaded within the technical run KakaoTalk open chat. So for people who are within the technical run chat, please make sure to click all present and then some missing. Please try to familiarize yourself with how the poll is shown and how you can what to click within the poll to actually have the debate starting. 폴이 지금 카카오톡으로 지금 투표가 올라왔다고 합니다. 그래서 이미 대회와 똑같은 상황을 연출해 보기 위해서 all present 한번 눌러보시고 다른 버튼 다 작동하는지 눌러보시고 한번 그 롤콜을 사전 체험해 보시기를 바랍니다. 예, 지금 1분 정도 있다가 다시 진행하겠습니다. We will resume in about 1 minute after everyone experiences how this how this poll is going to go. Hello. So I think there is a couple of teams that are using the raised hand function in Zoom. Because you're currently screen sharing, please make sure to save your questions at the end. We will promise that we'll have a Q&A section at the end. So please wait for about a couple of minutes and then we'll answer you as fast as possible. If there is a question that you would like to answer really quickly, we would recommend texting the TD one-on-one chat, or also using the technical run Kakao chat room and asking questions there. Okay, so I think we can now resume, since everyone has now took turns on how to do roll call. So resuming to the guidelines. So after you've joined the Kakao Talk open chat for the tournament, there are some guidelines that you need to follow. First is that only one person from each team enters the room. And the reason for this is it's just a lot harder to track which team is present once we are doing the roll call. We want only one person from each team to enter so that we are able to keep track of how many teams are currently present and how many teams aren't. The second thing is to do not share the link and code with a third party. We don't actually want a coach or we don't want a parent from actually entering, and we don't want those kind of situations to happen. Third is to set your profile name to the following. So if you're a general league team, then type in bracket, and within that bracket use capital G and then following the team name. And when it comes to an EFL league team, within the bracket you should be writing capitalized E and then your team name. And fourth thing is to always respect debaters, adjudicators, and organizers while you're talking or chatting within that chat. No one wants to be treated as rude because we're all the same human beings with emotions. Yeah. And the fifthly is if you have any concerns or questions that you would like to discuss in private, please send a private message or one-on-one chat to the tournament director. The link to the open private chat is in the PPT slide now. And if you do not want to use this link, or if the link is not working, you can also just go to the open chat room and just click the 3 bar lines up on the upper banner. And then you'll be able to see the list of people you can chat with. And you can just click TD, and my name on it, 해성편, and then you can click one-on-one open chatting. And that's how you're able to reach me and to ask questions. 대회 이전, 도중, 이후에 문의사항이 있으시면 사무국에 이메일 또는 전화를 하셔도 되지만 저에게 카카오톡 1대1 오픈 채팅을 하셔도 됩니다. 특히 참가 학생들 중 개인적으로 문의할 내용이 있는 경우 단체 톡방이 아니라 이 1대1 카톡방으로 채팅을 주시면 됩니다. 1대1 채팅의 링크는 지금 보시는 PPT 페이지 하단에도 있고 앞서 보여드린 대회 홈페이지 하단에도 있습니다. 또한 본 PPT 마지막 슬라이드에 QR코드와 함께 나와 있으니 참고 바랍니다. Okay, so I think this is now all for Kakao Talk settings and guidelines. And let's now move on to debate platforms, which is the third section for this TD briefing. So when it comes to Zoom settings, the first thing you should keep in mind is, again, to change your names, where the name should be, if you're a general league, use the bracket, and within the bracket, use capitalized G, and then your team name, and then your camera number. So if you're EFL League, the same thing also applies, except that within the bracket, you should be writing your capitalized E. And then the same thing applies for just as in the general league teams. When it comes to audio settings, please make sure to turn your microphone all off and only one microphone on during your speech, especially the camera that is going to be your podium camera. And then when it comes to speaker, please turn off all speakers except for one. This is to prevent howling issues or echoing issues from happening where obviously other teams are going to be distracted. So moving on is the camera settings. And the important thing here is that cameras should or must capture, number one, all 4 students. Secondly, the screen of other devices. Thirdly, the door. And fourthly, the desk in prep time and debates when and the speaker when it comes to debates. 이번 대회에서는 팀당 총 3대의 카메라를 설치해야 합니다. 온라인 대회에서 발생 가능한 부정 행위를 방지하고 사각지대를 최소화하기 위함입니다. 4가지가 필수로 포함이 되어야 하는데요. 학생 4명 모두 발행기기 카메라의 화면, 문, 그리고 책상 및 발화자가 포함되어야 합니다. 카메라는 별도의 지시가 없을 시 준비 시간 및 토론 시간 동안 절대 건드리시면 안 됩니다. 발화자를 비추는 포디움 카메라만 카메라 각도 조절 또는 음소거 해제 등의 용도로만 만지실 수 있습니다. According to the room structure, what each camera captures can change, but everything mentioned here should be included. So for example, if your camera number 1 should capture everyone, the door, and the screen of camera 2, camera 2 captures the screen of camera 1 and camera 3. Camera 3, which is the podium camera, should capture the desk, sorry, and the speaker as well. If there are anyone who has trouble with, for example, how to set up cameras, please text me on one-on-one KakaoTalk open chat room, and then we will try to help you out and try to make sure that you are able to set your camera properly before the tournament. 혹시라도 본인의 방 구조에 따라 어떻게 카메라에 배치해야 할지 모르시는 분들은 제게 1대1 오픈 채팅을 남겨주시면 도와드리겠습니다. Here is examples of how you should set up your camera. So again, when it comes to camera number 1, you have the camera should capture everyone, the 4 people sitting, and the door, and then the screen of camera 2. When it comes to camera 2, the screens of camera 1 and screens of camera 3 is captured. When it comes to camera 3, which is used as a camera, which is used as the podium camera, you should capture your desk during your prep time and the speaker during debates. These are some examples of how you should capture. Yep, so this is the first example, and during debate time, you should be capturing the first speaker for podium camera, the camera number 3. And then the second example is when you're during prep time. Yeah, so this is the second example. When it comes to during debate time, the third camera should capture the speaker. So these are examples that teams can follow when they are setting up cameras. And if there are any questions regarding camera setups, please give a call to TD or do an open one-on-one chat. Okay, so moving on to Zoom main hall and breakout rooms. Some general guidelines when it comes to Zoom main hall is to mute your microphone unless the host lets you to unmute. This is to minimize distraction as possible. And do not use a Zoom chat to ask questions. Instead, try to use the KakaoTalk chat. And the reason being that because of the fact that in the tournament we are using a lot of communication channels, it is incredibly hard for the organizing committee to check all of those communication channels chats. And therefore, we disable the Zoom chat function intentionally, and we recommend people to be using KakaoTalk chat room to ask any kind of questions. We think organizing committee would be able to efficiently, I guess, reply to your questions because they're only focusing on the KakaoTalk chat room. When it comes to Zoom breakout rooms, again, try to mute your microphones during preparation time. No team wants to get distracted. And also, do not unmute your microphones to make a POI or to say here, etc. I think these things distract the speaker who is currently making their speech. And again, always respect debaters and adjudicators, also organizers while talking or chatting. Yeah, so these are the general guidelines. Okay, the fourth thing in this TD briefing is the debate process. And you're just going to do a step-by-step process of how this tournament actually works, or how the round actually works. Okay, so first we do a roll call. And again, we have done the KakaoTalk. Again, we have explained this in the slide 9 of this PPT. So if people are unsure of how this exactly functions, please go back to slide 9 and reread it again. 각 라운드 시작 전 카카오톡을 통해 출석 체크 투표를 먼저 하게 됩니다. 이는 앞서 설명드렸기에 생략하겠습니다. 본 PPT 슬라이드 9쪽을 참고해 주시기 바랍니다. And then we have the matchups, or again, a draw that is released. And to give you an example of how a draw looks like, this is a sample draw for round 1. And this is a sample matchup. The matchup will be both screen shared on Zoom, in the Zoom main hall, and also will be shared on KakaoTalk open chat room. When the draw is released, the team should write down on their paper, number 1, their room number, which is the room number shown here in the sample matchup. And then you should also write your team position, whether you're a government or whether you're opposition. Please try to write this, because there are precedents where the team prepped for the wrong side, where they were opposition, but they prepped for the side government and ended up losing the round. So we don't want those types of unfortunate accidents happening. And then thirdly is the adjudicator's name, judge name. So the reasons why you should write all of this down is because you should write your room number down so that you're able to know which room you should be allocated upon, and to pick a room, Zoom room, that you have to go into. You should also be prepping the right side, but you should also be knowing your judge name, just in case you've confused your room number, and you should be making sure that the name of the judge is right. So please write down all of those things within the paper as soon as the draw is released. 출석 체크를 통해 모든 팀들이 출석 확인이 되면 대진표를 발표합니다. 대진표는 지금 보시는 것처럼 나올 것이며 줌 화면 공유와 카카오톡 채팅방으로 공유됩니다. 각 팀은 대진표에서 자신이 속한 소회의실 방 번호, 찬성하는지 혹은 반대하는지, 또 심판의 이름을 별도의 종이에 꼭 써놓으시길 바랍니다. 잘못된 측에서 토론하지 않도록 본인이 찬성 측인지 반대 측인지를 특히 더 유의하셔서 기억해 주시기 바랍니다. The third is to move to breakout rooms. So the way in which you can move to breakout room is to click breakout rooms, 소회의실, on the bottom of your screen. And please notice that we've currently disabled the breakout room function, so you won't be seeing this right now, but we will be giving you the opportunity to locate where your breakout room is and go to your respective breakout rooms a few minutes later, so please wait for that. And then after finding this breakout room button, find your allocated room and click join, and then click yes, and then you'll be able to join your breakout room. We'll test this again later, but importantly, in the tournament, all 3 devices that you've joined has to join this debate room in order for you to count as all present. Okay, the fourth thing is to debate. The motion is going to be released at the same time in each breakout room once all judges all judges have completed checking your checking if all students are present, checking for if the A4 papers are all there. After that, the motion is going to be released, where you will have 40 minutes of prep time, and 40 minutes of prep time once the motion is released. And then after the debate, the judges take time to evaluate and prepare their feedbacks. This is going to take about 10 to 15 minutes. And while the judge is thinking about which team actually wins and thinking about the justifications for their verdict, the team should mute themselves and wait there instead of going out of the breakout rooms. Sixth is to receive feedback. So after the judges think about their verdict and the justifications for their verdict, the judges will give feedback for a couple of minutes. And after the teams receive feedback from the judge as well as the verdict, teams can ask for further feedback in the breakout rooms, but make sure to stay in the breakout rooms even after the feedback. We will close all breakout rooms once all breakout rooms have finished debating, and you will be automatically moved back to the main hall. We are going to disallow teams from going to the main hall, and therefore I think teams can just stay within the breakout rooms, and then once all of the debate is over, we will be closing the breakout rooms at once so that people can move to the main hall. 각 방의 모든 팀이 다 입장한 이후에 모든 방에서 동시에 주제를 공개합니다. 그리고 주제가 공개가 된 시점부터 프랩 타임 40분이 시작이 됩니다. 그렇게 해서 토론을 하게 된 후에 각 소회의실에서 학생들은 음소거한 채로 심판 결정을 기다려 주시기 바랍니다. 심판의 결과 발표 후 그 후에 심판이 결정을 한 후에 OA를 시작을 하고 OA가 끝났을 경우 심판의 결과 발표 및 피드백을 들을 때 피드백을 듣게 됩니다. 이때도 이후에 소회의실 안에 있기를 바라며 추후 모든 방에서 토론이 끝나면 저희가 일괄적으로 소회의실을 닫을 예정입니다. The seven and the last debate process is submitting the judge feedback form. You can now access the KakaoTalk chat since the round is over, and the link to the judge feedback form will already be uploaded on the chat after every round. And the things to notice or things to remember is that each team should submit only one feedback form about their judge. And the second thing to remember is that the URL link will be different for each round. So if the round is round 3, please make sure to check the subject line of that feedback form, where it says round 3 team to judge feedback. Please don't go to a different URL link that says round 2 team to judge feedback and then submit feedback there. We won't be able to track that feedback and then submitting it to the round 3. So please make sure that since each round URL link is different, make sure to check the subject link the subject line and make sure that you're submitting the feedback for the respective round. 결과 발표까지 모두 끝나면 학생들은 심판에 대한 피드백을 작성해서 제출하게 됩니다. 이때 심판이 내린 결과에 납득하는지, 심판이 이 결과에 대해 충분한 설명을 했는지, 건설적인 피드백으로 도움을 받을 수 있었는지 등을 종합적으로 평가하시면 됩니다. 평가 내용을 반영하여 본선 심판이 결정됩니다. 피드백 폼 링크는 매 라운드 후 카카오톡 톡방에 올려드릴 예정이며 라운드마다 링크가 바뀌니까 그 전 라운드 링크를 쓰지 마시고 꼭 카톡방을 확인해 주시기 바랍니다. So I wanted to do a brief summary of how this debate process is going to go. So let's go over them. First, we have this roll call, which is done in KakaoTalk. We will be uploading a vote in the KakaoTalk open chat room. And then after the roll call, we will have the matchups or the draw that is released. This is going to be released within the Zoom main hall or on the KakaoTalk open chat room, where in KakaoTalk an image file will be uploaded, or in Zoom where image file will be screen shared. After teams know which room they are in, also the judge's name, and also which side are they prepping for, whether it is government or opposition, teams move to their respective breakout rooms, respective breakout rooms. And then fourthly, they debate, where after 40 minutes of prep time, and then after the debate, they receive feedbacks from the judge. And after getting feedbacks, please stay within your Zoom breakout rooms. And also don't forget to submit judge feedback forms, which is going to be uploaded in the KakaoTalk open chat. So that's the brief summary of the debate process or the brief summary of how the round goes. And because we have 3 rounds per Saturday, we are going to repeat this for 3 times in that Saturday. And when it comes to elimination rounds, we are going to have 4 rounds. So we're going to repeat all of this 4 times. Okay, so let's practice. So parents and teachers may stay in this main hall, and all students can try going into any kind of breakout rooms. So we will be making breakout rooms shortly. Since we don't have a matchup today, so you can just go into any kind of breakout room and make sure that you are able to know how to enter a breakout room and how you're able to figure out what is exactly the number of breakout room that you want to go into. Just in case, during the tournament, each team will be given a breakout room number to enter. And also all of the devices should also enter as well. So when you're only having 1 device right now, but in the tournament, you will have about 3 devices per team. So all 3 devices have to enter that specific breakout room that you are allocated in. Okay, so I think all of the breakout rooms here are open. So please make sure to go to the breakout rooms. Make sure that you know how to enter breakout rooms. And also kind of notice the subject line to breakout room so that you're able to locate the subject line and go to the respective breakout room once the tournament begins. Yep. 지금 소회의실에서 직접 들어가는 연습 시간을 갖도록 하겠습니다. 대회 당일에는 소회의실의 모든 팀이 각자 배정된 소회의실에 직접 들어가야 하기 때문에 지금 미리 연습을 해보시길 바랍니다. 참고로 대회 때는 한 개의 기기가 아니라 각 팀마다 3대의 기기를 사용하기 때문에 3대의 기기 모두 소회의실에 입장하셔야 된다는 점 미리 알려드립니다. We will be waiting for about like 1 or 2 minutes so that people are able to experience how to go into breakout rooms and then we will proceed. 지금부터 한 1, 2분 동안 학생들에게 소회의실 어떻게 들어가는지에 대해서 학생들이 소회의실 들어가는 법을 터득할 수 있게 1, 2분 정도 기다리도록 하겠습니다. 그 후에 스케줄에 대해서 살펴보겠습니다. Okay, so I think everyone now had time to, I guess, experience how to go into breakout rooms. So I think we can now resume the tech run. So we're just going to briefly go over the tournament schedule. So on day 1, we have 3 rounds, and on day 2, we have 4 rounds of debate. And the important thing here is that guardians, parents, and teachers can all participate in the opening ceremony or remarks, or in break announcements and closing ceremony. And in the closing ceremony, we will be announcing team and speaker awards. And there are cases when the speaker award is awarded to a speaker from non-breaking teams. So please join the closing ceremony, even if your team did not make it to the elimination rounds. And also, the last round of debates is going to be silent rounds, as it is mentioned in the schedule. That is prelim round 3 and elimination round 4. And in silent rounds, the OAs aren't given by the judge, but rather only the verdict of the judges don't give their OAs, and therefore students also have to don't submit their feedback forms. And the ballots or the verdict and the justifications for that verdict will be sent to the contact person's email after the whole tournament is over. 개회식 본선 진출팀 발표식, 그리고 시상식 때는 학부모님들, 선생님들 모두 참여 가능합니다. 그래서 시간에 맞춰서 줌 링크에 들어오시기 바랍니다. 회회식에서는 팀과 스피커 시상이 진행됩니다. 간혹 본선에 진출하지 못한 팀에서도 개인 스피커 수상자가 나오는 경우가 있으니 예선에서 탈락한 경우에도 회회식에는 꼭 참석하시길 바랍니다. 예선과 본선의 마지막 라운드는 결과가 발표되지 않는 사일런트 혹은 비공개 라운드입니다. 즉 예선 3라운드와 본선 4라운드는 토론이 끝나고 결과가 발표되지 않습니다. 추후 해당 라운드에 대한 점수와 피드백은 대회가 끝난 이후 연락대표 학생에게 이메일로 보내드리겠습니다. 그리고 정해진 일정대로 진행하기 위해서 최선을 다하겠지만 온라인 대회 특성상 인터넷 연결 등의 문제로 딜레이가 발생할 수 있습니다. 따라서 학부모님께서는 앞서 설명드린 대로 홈페이지 공지사항 배너를 참고하셔서 대회 실시간 진행 상황을 확인해 주시기 바랍니다. 또한 30분 이상의 큰 딜레이가 발생하게 될 경우 저희가 학부모님께 문자로 알려드리고 있습니다. We will try our best to make sure the tournament flows as possible as mentioned within the schedule. But because this is obviously online tournament, there are a lot of issues that might occur, things like internet connection problems, things like the judges might not coming, etc., etc. And therefore, please make sure to check the online homepage announcement banner to make sure how the tournament is flowing and kind of make sure what is the status quo of the tournament. And if there is like a really huge delay, for example, more than 30 minutes, we will try to message the parents and kind of make sure that parents are aware of this as well. So this is the day 2 schedule which is the elimination rounds. Okay, this is the Korean version. I think people can, I guess, like see it after the technical run is over. Okay, so a last bit of reminders. The 6th thing is regarding unexpected situations. And the first thing is if students have to participate separately, and this kind of occurs in the COVID-19, where, for example, one students have catched COVID-19 and therefore cannot physically be together with other students and have to participate in the tournament together. Or oftentimes one of the student is in a foreign country and therefore cannot physically participate in the same room. If that is the case, please make sure to inform the organizing committee beforehand. And if not, we will assume that everyone is participating within the same room. And to be sure, there are some differences that people or teams that participating separately will experience. Number one is that during preparation time, teams participating separately will be moved to a different breakout room. The reason being that if the team is with another team, the team is with the opposition team, they are not able to physically prep together, and therefore to give them a channel to which they are able to communicate, we will be moving them to a different breakout room where they are able to talk with each other and prep together. And after the prep time ends, 40 minutes of prep time ends, we will be manually sending them back to the allocated breakout room that they were given in the draw. When it comes to, for example, and if they want to ask questions, once the motion is released, and for about 20 to 30 seconds, they can ask whatever questions they have within the motion to the judge. If not, they will be moved to a different breakout room so that they are able to prep together. If they want to further ask questions, one of the students can stay and continuously ask questions while the rest of the students can go to the separate breakout room and prep. The second thing that is different is during debates, a member participating separately cannot communicate with other team members. And this is super important because a member who is participating separately obviously want to communicate, but because of the fact that we want to prevent cheating, or because it looks like cheating or other teams perceive this as cheating, we want to make sure to prevent this from happening. And therefore, teams participating separately or students participating separately isn't able to communicate with other team members when the debate actually happens. They can during the prep time, and they can once the round is over. But during the debate, that is something that is not allowed. The second unexpected situation is when disconnections happen during debate. And this happens quite often, and therefore I want people to be able to be sure of how they can what kind of guidelines they can resort to. If a team's podium device is disconnected, then try to use another device that has stable Wi-Fi connection. And if all teams' devices currently disconnected, whether that is because of blackouts, whether that is because the entire Wi-Fi is currently down, just immediately inform the organizing committee, and just try to inform immediately. And thirdly is that when it happens to be the judge's device that is experiencing disconnections, where when a person was speaking, the judge's Wi-Fi became unstable and they were kicked out of Zoom, wait for a judge for a couple of minutes. If not, also inform the organizing committee. We will handle the problem as soon as and try to solve this as fast as possible. Okay, and lastly is some frequently asked questions. We want to create a new slide just in case students, because a lot of questions were made regarding these types of things, and we want to make sure that other people are also aware of this. The first question that we got was, is mask mandatory? And again, the government guidelines or the quarantine guidelines delineates that mask isn't mandatory, which means that obviously we cannot force people to individually wear masks. But the YTN organizing committee recommends people to wear masks because obviously the teams are going to be prepping and debating together within a closed space, and therefore it is highly recommended to wear masks so that they're able to prevent COVID-19 from propagating. And obviously we can't force people, but yes, this is highly recommended. We want people to be safe. Yeah, we want people to be safe. The second question is line notes allowed? And to answer this, it is not allowed. And the reason being that it is just incredibly hard for the organizing committee and also as a judge to check or differentiate the difference between speech templates and line notes, where because of the fact that we ban speech templates where there are line notes existing and there are a bunch of, I guess, like phrases that you can use in the start of your speech and at the end of your speech. The same way in which we ban speech templates, we also is going to ban line notes as well, because it's just really hard to differentiate between a speech template and a line note. And the third question is, can you use a whiteboard instead of blank paper? And unfortunately, we also have to answer that whiteboards are also not allowed. And this is because it is also really hard to check if the person is cheating or not. Because when it comes to an A4, like A4 paper, the judges exactly know the size of A4 and therefore is able to know if there are anything that like any kind of, for example, any kind of like things that is like written within the A4 before the debate or not. But when it comes to a whiteboard, because the judges do not exactly see how big the whiteboard actually is, and probably because you're seeing this from a camera angle, this means that it's just much more harder to see if your whiteboard is always blank, and the judges it's really hard for the judges to check this. And therefore, I think we also had to ban whiteboards so that we are able to actually prevent people from cheating. And obviously, we do feel like these are some constraints that obviously come at the cost of convenience, but we want to make sure that this is since this is an online debate tournament where our capacity to cheat is obviously super high, we want to make sure that this is a fair tournament for everyone and make sure that no one feels the experience that opposition is cheated and therefore feel that they are really, really bad after the tournament ends. So we want to make sure that even if this may cause some bit of inconvenience to some students, which we are terribly sorry, we want to make sure that at the same time, being a much more fair tournament is also much more important. And therefore, we want people to also bear some kind of inconvenience with us as well. Yeah, lastly is regarding contact. So feel free to ask any kind of inquiries through email, phone, or one-on-one Kakao chat. Considering that emails are quite hard for us to check during the tournament where we are operating under a very tight schedule, we recommend any inquiries to be done by phone call or through one-on-one Kakao chat. 대회 전과 후에는 이메일을 통해서 궁금하신 점을 물어보셔도 되지만 대회 당일에는 이메일 특성상 빠른 답변이 힘드니 당일에는 카카오톡 1:1 오픈 채팅이나 전화를 활용해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. 전화의 경우 저희 공식 홈페이지에 나와 있는 사무국 번호로 연락 주셔도 되지만 대회 당일에는 각 리그 담당 DTD 전화번호로 연락 주시면 더 빠르게 도와드리도록 하겠습니다. So this is the contact information. We have the email. We also have the phone number on the KakaoTalk one-on-one open chat as well. So this marks the end of the TD briefing. Thanks all for following through a very long PPT slide. Next we'll have the CAP briefing. The General League CAP briefing is going to be held here in this main hall. When it comes to EFL CAP briefing, this is going to be held in a separate breakout room, which is going to be created like in a minute or so. 이제 CAP 브리핑이 진행될 예정인데요. CAP 브리핑은 제너럴 리그와 EFL 리그로 나눠서 진행될 예정입니다. 제너럴 리그는 영어로 진행되며 지금 계시는 이 줌 메인 회의실에서 바로 진행됩니다. EFL 리그는 한국어로 진행되며 지금 새로 열어드리는 소회의실로 들어가시면 됩니다. CAP 브리핑을 한국어로 듣고 싶으신 학부모님들, 선생님, 그리고 제너럴 리그 학생이 있다면 지금 소회의실로 들어가시면 됩니다. Okay, so I think now we have these EFL League CAP briefing breakout room ready. So please go to the EFL CAP briefing room for EFL teams. If a general league team's parent or, for example, a student is also quite uncomfortable with English and would prefer Korean as their as their language of as a more convenient language of understanding, and you can just also go to EFL CAP briefing as well. And again, if there are any questions right now, we would advise people to save your questions a bit later. After the CAP briefing, we will all meet together in this main hall, and we will have a Q&A session where we will be answering your questions. We also have some, I guess, 1 or 2 announcements that we also want to make as well. So yeah, please wait if you have questions, or if you have an urgent question, you can just text us on Kakao chat or give us a phone call, and we will answer that right away. Thank you.
Right. Hi guys, good afternoon. My name is Jan Galas, and I'll be your chief adjudicator for this YTN elementary debate competition that we're going to have in a few days. So at this moment, what I want to do is I want to give you some reminders all over again. I'm sure Hesong to some extent had alluded the other information that I want to talk about today. But here are some things that we need to become very careful during the tournament so that our experience would actually go smoothly as possible. Okay, so we'll talk more about the online debating rules, and this would be divided before the debate happens, during the debate, and the things that we also need to do right after the debate. Okay, so let's talk about the preparation time first. A while ago, our tournament director has already mentioned this, that it is important for us to be able to use blank white paper, which are A4, as much as possible, have 20 pieces prepared every round. We think 20 pieces of paper should be good enough for you to be able to do your preparation for your speeches for any particular round. Okay. The adjudicator is going to ask you actually about this. they're gonna ask you to like show your paper, wave it in camera, just to make sure that everyone is actually not doing any cheating possible for a while. Right. I'm sorry about that. Moving on, the next thing that we need to be able to be careful of is during the prep time, you need to make sure that all of your electronic devices are away from your desk, okay? Even if, I think the first thing that you need to do is turn it off or put it on silent mode and make sure to put it in your bag. Some students might have unintentionally would leave it on the desk and it would be visible to the camera, and the other team might actually complain about this. And you don't want that thing to happen to you. So I do suggest that you need to be very careful in terms of making sure that your phone is not on the desk. Always be mindful that you should have put it inside your bag. All right. The second thing that we also need to make sure that you remember and tell your parents or your teachers to make sure that this doesn't happen to you is that you need to make sure that you disconnect any messaging app that you have on your laptop. Okay, so some of you might be using a Macintosh Apple as a computer, and sometimes iMessage is actually connected to the device, right? And when someone sends you a message and your computer is unmuted, it might actually ring off. And that could be, that would actually cause some sort of suspicion from your teammates. And just for us to avoid these kind of situation, I do suggest that you disconnect any messaging apps that you have on your device, just to make sure that your experience would be nice and clear, like that you wouldn't have any stress or trouble when it comes to the tournament. The next thing that we need to understand is in terms of the motion clarification. So you'll have 10 minutes to ask questions about the motion, but as part of this chief adjudication panel, we want to make sure that these wordings in the motion are actually well explained. So we will be using a very easy language in order for you to understand the topic. But more importantly, if there are technical concepts, we will be providing you some information slide about it. Okay, so you don't really need to worry about those kind of things. But be mindful that make sure to ask questions within the first 10 minutes, because one, I think that would be helpful for you because you need to spend more time thinking about the arguments and case anyway, right? And not really in terms of like, oh, what does this word mean? Like, what does the motion trying to tell us or whatnot? So we need to make sure that all things are clear, just before the first 10 minutes of the preparation is actually over. Okay, so be mindful, like when you see the motion, if there are any questions, especially when it comes to technicalities, then you could actually just, ask the motion, since there will be judges in the room anyway, who will be waiting for messages from the CAP to relay specific information to everyone, okay? The next thing that we also need to be careful during preparation is that make sure that no one except from the members of your team should be present in the room. Okay, so if you will be staying with your parents or with your coaches, remind them also that they shouldn't be in the room once the tournament director asks you to go to the breakout rooms. Okay, so just be clear about that, just so you won't be, thought of cheating during preparation time. Okay. And the last one, obviously, we also do not want you to have any communication, be it verbal or electronic, with anyone outside your team members. Okay, so when preparation is happening, the conversation must only happen amongst the team members and no one else. Okay. Besides, like, that's how debating should be, right? Like, you've been trained to do this, and that's supposed to be the beauty of debating, that you will be sharing ideas within your own members, and from there you'll be able to come up with cases as well as arguments. Okay, right, moving on. Now let's talk about things that we need to remember during the debate. So the first one is to make sure that no one will be suspicious of you, that you are actually chatting with someone else in the device. So as much as possible, we do not want teams from touching the devices. Like, always refrain from touching the device. Like, you only get to do this when you need to unmute yourselves because you have a point of information to raise. Like, if your point of information was accepted, then obviously you need to unmute your microphone so that you can speak, right? But apart from those situations, you're not supposed to be touching your device, okay? Be it the laptops, your phones, or your tablets. Next thing is that we need to make sure that when it comes to, timekeeping, we want you to use a single function digital stopwatch, okay? Which goes to say that your phones are not supposed to be used as stopwatches, okay? Because obviously, like I've told you a while ago, all electronic devices should be away from your desk, best if it's actually kept in your bags, right? So we also need you to be able to be mindful anyway of your own speech time. So just use a single function digital stopwatch, okay? That's always been the practice in YTN tournaments anyway. The next thing is that we need to be able to make sure that debaters at any point in time do not record the debate or screen capture any participants, okay? So this has something to do with privacy, and we want to make sure that we respect each other, because, like, taking photos or videos normally needs consent from the other party. So if you just randomly take a video or photo of someone else, like your opponents, then you are actually invading someone else's privacy, and that's a very bad practice and an unethical thing to do. So do not do that. So do not record around, do not screen capture, because that's highly prohibited. I think, one, on the personal level, but more importantly, even on the legal level. Okay. Next is that we also need to make sure that during the debate, you are again not supposed to be speaking to anyone apart from your members of the teams. Okay. So be it during prep time or during the debate, the communication or the conversation should only happen amongst the team members and no one else outside the team. The last one is that when it comes to unmuting the microphone, as much as possible, we only get to do this when we deliver our speeches or when the other team accepted your point of information and you're supposed to be asking the point of information. You do not get to unmute your mic and like show some debate reactions like here, like shame, and then clapping or hitting the desk. Okay. Hopefully we get to transition to offline debating in the future. You get to do that during in-person debating. But since we are doing things online, we do not want you to be doing this, since it would actually really distract not just the speakers, but the judges as well, especially if there are like too much simultaneous noises happening at the same time. Okay, so for us just to make sure that we get to really understand and hear whoever is speaking for this debate, we are not supposed to be giving verbal debate reactions, or you are not supposed to unmute yourself so that the other party could actually hear your verbal debate reactions. Okay. Right, next, between rounds. So on each end of the round, the teams are supposed to exit the Zoom debate room and return to Zoom hall. However, in doing this, you will be automatically be brought back to the main Zoom hall anyway. So what happens here is that you're supposed to be staying in your own breakout room. So there's not much of things that you need to do anyway. So just make sure that you stay in your room. During break time, you can move out of the camera angle, take a rest, and go to the restroom since it's break time anyway. And make sure that when you go during the break time, just be clear that these things are not supposed to happen during the debate and during preparation time. Okay, especially when it comes to using the bathroom, make it a practice to be mindful to yourself that understand if you or I actually suggest that it would be best if everyone just go to the bathroom every start or just before the motion release of the motion of the topic, just so you wouldn't be bothered in terms of these kind of things. Okay, and yeah, so during break time also, we need to make sure that there should be one account that remains in the main Zoom hall. Okay, and debaters do not need to stay in one place because obviously it's break time anyway. Okay, so recording in video, I've talked about this a while ago, but we want to make sure that it gets right through you that you are not supposed to record at any point of the tournament or even take photos of someone else participating in the tournament. Okay. However, debate rounds, including the last elimination rounds for both general and EFL, will be recorded by the organizing committee and will be shared on the YTN website after the competition is over anyway. So you get to see yourself debating since there will be a video recording of your last round for the elimination rounds anyway for general and EFL. Okay. Points of information, you need to have either a paper showing to the camera that you want to ask for point of information, or you can simply just raise or wave your hands towards the camera when asking points of information. Okay, so the point here is that there's no verbal points of information. Okay, you do not get to unmute yourself and say point of information, like unmute, like, oh, I have a question. Okay, those things are not allowed because again, it would disrupt the other speaker. But more than that, like the judges would be confused, like, oh, there's too much noise happening all at the same time. Okay, so just wave your hand or raise a paper on the camera saying points of information. Okay, just to signal and so that the other person who's speaking gets to see that you are interested in raising points of information. Okay. Also, debaters not delivering the speeches must always mute their microphones. Okay. All right. So quick review, just to make sure that everything is actually clear in terms of the things that we need to be doing once you are being sent to the breakout room for the competition. Okay. So again, upon entering the individual Zoom debate room, so the judge will be there. Your judge is going to welcome you and she is going to introduce him or herself. And that would also serve as an audio check for the adjudicator. So just to make sure that, you and your team gets to hear your judge. The next thing is that the judge is going to check your camera angles and camera view. So this was discussed to you a while ago in terms of what are the specific angles and things that each camera should be capturing. So we are going to have a camera check at the start of everything, just to make sure that no one's going to complain that, oh, maybe the other team is actually cheating or whatnot. Okay. And always remember that at this point in time, the moment that you enter your individual Zoom room, no coaches or any observers should be in the room apart from the debaters. Okay. And the next thing that will happen here is that your judge will also ask you if you want to go to the toilet or take a water break before the motion release. Okay. Don't get too excited. Always think about your well-being. Are you thirsty? Then drink water. Do you need water from outside? Then get water from outside. Do you think you need to go to the toilet? Then go to the toilet. Okay. So be mindful and be always present. Okay. Don't get too excited. After those, activities, your judge now is going to release the motion. Okay. Your judge will remind everyone to mute all devices before the preparation time would start. Okay. Your judge will also remind everyone to make sure that all cameras are actually turned on. Okay. Now, after the preparation is over, your judge is going to ask every one of you to introduce yourself and mention your speaking position. So this would help the judge identify who's speaking what specific role, and to double check also whether your audio is actually is in good quality. Okay. The next thing that you need to, the next thing that would happen is that your judge will also going to remind you to mute all of your devices. Like, especially if you're the one speaking, like only one device must be unmuted, and that should be your podium camera, okay? Because if there are two microphones turned on in the room, it would create a feedback noise, and that's gonna be hurting our ears. And you wouldn't really like hearing those kind of noise, okay? So just be mindful that your devices should always be on mute unless you are going to deliver a speech, or unless your opponent accepted your point of information and you need to deliver your point of information, okay? But once you unmute your microphone, only one microphone should be unmuted, okay? Right. After the debate is over, what happens here is that your judge will remind like everyone in the Zoom room not to drop out of the Zoom call until the verdict is given. Okay, so you guys can just like wait in the Zoom room while the adjudicator will be fixing your scores and will be preparing for the oral feedback. Okay, and then once that, and then after that, your judge will be giving you the verdict or the result of the debate, and the judge will remind you again to like you need to be able to provide him or her also a feedback in terms of how things went through for the oral adjudication. Okay. Always remember to stay inside the breakout rooms, even if you have already received your feedback and the results of your round. Okay. So you don't need to like log out, or you don't need to go anywhere, because the convening team anyway is going to automatically move everyone back to the main hall once all rooms are over. Okay. So you guys can just like stay in the room and wait until everyone will be brought back to the main Zoom hall. Okay, so yeah, these are the only things that we want to make sure that you guys will remember during the debate tournament. We also encourage you to stay for a bit, since Hesong, your tournament director, is going to have a Q&A session with every one of you. So please stay, and especially if you have any questions, please prepare it. And our tournament director, Hesung, is going to be with you to answer all questions that you have for this tournament. All right. So yeah, I guess that's it for me. Good luck. I wish you well. Be healthy. And I'll see you this coming weekend for the tournament. Okay. Have a good day, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.
Okay, so hello everyone. So I hope everyone has enjoyed the CAP briefings from both in Korean and held in English as well. We're just going to have a brief Q&A session just in case people wasn't able to understand the parts of the technical run or they have further questions about how the tournament operates. So if there are people who want to ask questions, please use the raising hand function on Zoom. So if you look at Zoom, and if you click reactions in the lower banner of the Zoom, you will be able to see a raise hand function. So it looks like 손들기. Yes, I see Promo Genius doing it. I'll answer it a bit later. So if you have any questions, please use the raise hand function, and we will unmute each individual team based on their order of the raising hands, and then ask and answer their questions in that manner. So yeah. So firstly, Promo Genius, we'll unmute you.
Okay, so can we print out the guideline and document in the Google Drive with us?
Yeah, so you mean that you're printing out the guide and you are going to use that in the tournament?
The guide that you provided, the slide that you just shown in the briefing earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, so yes, you can just print it out, the guide, but please make sure that I mean, please make sure that, I mean, you can print the guide and make sure that you read it, but please make sure that when it comes to tournaments, like when you're going into a round, you can't bring anything with you. I think the only thing you can bring is your A4 sheet, 20 pieces of A4 sheets, which are all blank. So I'm afraid that the tournament guidelines or whatever you want to bring, you can access them during and after the round is over or before the round starts, but please make sure that you're not accessing them during the middle of the round and have other teams kind of look at you suspiciously because there is something that was written in the paper. Yeah, I think I hope that's a sufficient response. Okay, I assume that's answered. Okay, Jiu Kim.
Like, can we like have 4 cameras total? Like, is it only 3 that's required?
Yeah, so there's only 3 that's required, and feel free to like bring more cameras if you want. But yes, every team should have 3 cameras for each team. Yeah. Okay. Okay, is there any questions left? 야, 혹시라도 추가로 질문이 있으시면 줌으로 그 줌의 손 들기 펑션을 이용하셔서 그 질문해 주시기 바랍니다. 줌 손 들기 기능은 줌 아래 보시면 반응이라는 차트에서 반응해서 손 들기 버튼 누르시면 됩니다. Okay, Promo Genius.
Okay, so another thing, can we use like a speaker or a microphone with a USB line?
So you mean USB line means that it's like, for example, like a Bluetooth where like you don't have a line.
So basically, we want to like connect a speaker or a microphone. Is that allowed?
Yeah, microphone is allowed. It's just please make sure that we do not allow Bluetooth devices for cheating purposes or to prevent cheating. So if it's not like Bluetooth devices where you don't have like a line with that connects your mic and your computer, yeah, that's going to be fine.
Okay.
Okay, great. Is there any questions left? Okay, yeah, Dr. Debate.
So I have to Okay, so when I went into this YTN website, I tried to go to the guidelines and it said that it wasn't the trash can.
No, there the guidelines are
So
there. Yeah, so
how should he look at it?
Yeah, I do think that guidelines are there. If you have trouble looking for the guideline, you can if you look at the information packet, you will be able to see the YTN 9th YTN-HUFS debating championship homepage that we have made specifically for this tournament. There is all of the necessary information that you can look up to, including tournament guidelines, the information packet, the Zoom links, all of that is within that homepage. So if you think that these G Drive link that I have sent to each contact person's email isn't working, it probably should. But if it's not working, you can also look at the tournament homepage, and that is where you're able to find all of the necessary information. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Oh, okay, yes.
Okay, yeah, thank you. If there isn't any other questions, I think we'll just have a few more announcements. Okay, yeah, sure. Helicopter.
If we don't know a word or a meaning, do we use a dictionary?
Yes, we as far as I know, the dictionary is allowed. I think two dictionaries are allowed, and you're able to take it with you during the debate. Okay, does that answer your question? Okay, so I'm assuming that helicopter understood, or like helicopter got a sufficient response. Irene.
So did you say we can find the video on YouTube?
Yeah, so this technical run is recorded, and after 2 or 3 days, we will be uploading it in the YouTube channel. We will also be giving a message to parents and students that the technical run has been uploaded, so people who didn't see the technical run can see it. Yep. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else with a question? Okay, so I'm assuming no one does. If there are any questions, you can just oh yeah, the beginners.
May I speak in Korean?
Yeah, sure.
그 연감이랑 사전 두 권인데 혹시 그 각각 두 권인가요? 아니면 합쳐서 두 권인가요?
네, 각각 2권입니다.
네.
네, 감사합니다. If there are any other questions, you can just ask in the KakaoTalk channel on one-on-one chat or on the technical run as well. We will be answering questions as soon as we see it. If not, because I see no other questions in this technical run, I think we are just going to make a few additional announcements and then end this technical run. So the first announcement is just again, we will be uploading technical run very, very soon after 2 or 3 days after this technical run ends. We will also be sending you messages after the technical run is uploaded. So for people who did not fully understand this technical run, or for people who want to recommend this to other teammates so that the other teammates are also able to familiarize themselves with online debating, can do that once we give messages to these people. The second announcement is that we will be uploading judge blocking form very, very soon. I believe it's going to be on Monday. And what we mean by judge blocking form is that we want to make sure that judges, people who judge the teams, have no prior relationships with the teams with the team that they are judging. That is to say, if a judge has taught a student of a team that they are judging, or if the student was able to see that person in prior instances, we want to make sure that these types of relationships doesn't exist before the tournament starts. And that's the reason as to why we will be sending judge blocking form this Google form to every team here who has to respond to this form by Wednesday. And if not, we will be tracking people down and I guess like telling them to also answer this judge blocking form. So please make sure to look for the judge blocking form on Monday and make sure to respond to that so that we are able to I guess like apply this to quickly to tabs, I think this means that we have a faster tournament that is going to be run smoothly. So yeah, those are the two announcements that we wanted to make. I'm sorry. And the third announcement is that we will be having a closing ceremony offline in YTN Media Hall. And what I mean by this is that the online tournament is going to go same as last year. We will have the same closing ceremony in the in Sunday, where we will be announcing the team names. We'll be announcing who gets the best speaker awards, stuff like that. But the awards but people can get awards during the next week on the next week Saturday after the tournament ends in YTN Media Hall. If people do not get awards by that time, we will be sending awards and other things via to their home, to their addresses that they have put. But for people who want to get awards in the YTN, they will be able to get that in the closing ceremony that is going to happen happen offline. Yeah, that's it. If there aren't any further questions, I think you can just end the technical run here. Again, thank you for all of the people who have participated in the tech run. I think I see this as a very enthusiastic sign, or a very optimistic sign, that people are very enthusiastic about how the tournament is going to run and feel like this tournament is going to operate much more smoothly than before. So yeah, thank you for all of the people participating. We will be seeing you guys next week when the tournament starts. Thank you.
그럼 EFL 리그를 위한 CEP 브리핑 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 아까 말씀드린 것처럼 여기서는 CEP 브리핑 한국어로 진행될 예정이며 네, 저는 EFL CEP 브리핑을 맡은 CEP 중 한 명인 이수연입니다. 네, 우선 온라인 디베이팅 rules, 온라인 디베이트 규칙에 대해서 말씀드리도록 하겠습니다. 네, 우선 준비 시간에 관한 공지인데요. Each team must prepare 20 blank white A4 sheets per round. There should be nothing written on the papers. 네, 그래서 이제 준비 시간에는 각 팀당 20장의 A4 빈 종이를 준비하실 수 있습니다. 그리고 이 빈 종이에는 아무것도 적혀 있는 게 있으면 안 되는데, adjudicators will ask each team to show their papers before the preparation time begins, and line notes are not allowed. 네, 그래서 아까 말씀드린 대로 디베이트 준비 시간이 시작하기 전에 심사위원들이 팀들한테 종이를 보여달라고 요구를 할 것입니다. 그럼 팀에서 개별적으로 카메라를 통해서 종이를 이제 심사위원들이 볼 수 있도록 양면이 다 비어 있는지 20장을 모두 보여주시면 되고요. 아까 말씀드린 대로 줄이 있는 노트 종이는 허용되지 않습니다. 이거는 이제 노트 종이에 무엇이 적혀 있는지 대부분의 경우 이제 구별하기 어렵기 때문이어서 이 점 양해해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. When the preparation time for each round starts, teams are not allowed to use any electrical devices, i.e. phones and tablets, other than the 3 devices used to capture themselves. 네, 준비 시간이 시작하면 팀들은 어떠한 전자기기도 사용하실 수가 없습니다. 여기서 이제 전자기기란 그 팀들의 모습을 담는 3개의 카메라 외에 어떤 전자기기도 허용되지 않는데, 이제 개별 핸드폰이라든지 아니면 태블릿은 단순히 사용하는 것뿐만 아니라 준비 시간 내에 소지하고 있는 것 자체가 안 되기 때문에 이 가방 등에 넣어주시거나 아니면 이제 손에 닿지 않는 곳으로 이동해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. Debaters can ask for clarification regarding the motion during the first 10 minutes of the preparation time. 네, 그래서 이제 주제가 발표될 때 혹시라도 주제에 대해서 모르는 점이 있거나 궁금하신 점이 있다면 준비 시간 처음 10분 동안 이 주제에 대해서 심사위원께 질문을 할 수 있습니다. 그럼 이제 심사위원은 이제 저희 CAP 팀한테 문의를 한 후에 그 주제에 대해서 의문사항을 이제 답변을 해줄 건데, 이 주제에 대해서 궁금한 점이 있다면 초반 10분 내에 질문해 주시기 바랍니다. A third party should not be in the room. 네, 이거는 아까도 강조를 드렸지만 제3자가 방에 함께 팀들과 있으면 안 됩니다. 그래서 이제 학부모님이라든지 코치 등은 그 준비 시간이 시작하고 나서는 그 팀이 있는 방에 들어와서 안 되고, 이제 팀들은 준비 시간 동안 팀 내에 있는 멤버 구성원들끼리만 준비를 해주시기 바랍니다. Debaters should not engage in verbal communication with anyone besides their team members. 네, 이것도 방금 말씀드린 내용과 마찬가지로 준비 시간 동안에는 팀 멤버, 그러니까 그 한 팀에 속해 있는 4명의 학생들 외에 다른 사람들과 이제 다 이야기를 나눈다든지 말씀을 나누시면 안 됩니다. 그래서 뭐 방 밖에 있는 코치나 학부모님들과 뭐 대화를 한다든지 이런 것은 엄격하게 금지되어 있다는 점 양해해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. 네, 그리고 이제 디베이트 중간에 지켜야 할 규칙에 대해서 말씀을 드릴 건데요. Teams should refrain from touching the devices, i.e. laptops, tablets, phones, until the debate round ends, unless debaters need to raise a POI or deliver their speeches. 디베이트를 하는 동안에 그 팀들을 이제 보여주기 위한 세 대의 노트북이 설치가 돼 있을 텐데 이게 그 평소에 그 디베이터가 말을 할 때라던가 아니면 POI를 이제 중간에 스피치 중간에 질문을 할 때를 제외하고서는 전자기기를 만져서는 안 됩니다. 그래서 이 세 개의 디바이스, 이 전자기기는 설사 그 세 개의 디바이스더라도 디베이트 중간에 이제 그 불필요하게 만지는 일이 없게 해주시면 감사하겠습니다. 이건 이제 그 디베이터들이 디베이트 중간에 노트북을 활용해서 뭘 검색한다든지 이런 거를 이제 막기 위한 건데, 네, 그래서 그 세 개의 전자기기는 스피치를 직접 할 때라든지 아니면 POI를 이제 다른 상대팀한테 질문을 할 때 이 두 가지 경우를 빼면은 만지는 것을 자제해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. Debaters are only allowed to use single function digital stopwatches. 네, 이제 디베이트를 하다 보면은 본인의 그 스피치 시간에 제한될 일이 생겨서 스톱워치를 사용하는 경우가 생기는데 이때도 이제 스톱워치 기능만 있는 그 디지털 스톱워치만 사용이 가능하고 이제 뭐 핸드폰으로 시간을 잰다든지 아니면 뭐 갤럭시 워치나 애플 워치 등으로 이제 다른 기능이 있는 전자기기를 통해서 시간을 잰다든지 이런 것은 금지되어 있기 때문에 스탑워치 기능만 있는 스탑워치를 준비해 주셔서 시간을 재면 감사하겠습니다. Debaters must not, at any point of the tournament, record debate rounds or screen capture any participants. Personal recording is strictly prohibited. 네, 이제 디베이터들은 이게 굉장히 중요한 규칙인데 그 토너먼트 경기 도중 어떤 순간이라도 이 디베이트 대회를 녹화를 한다든지 아니면 다른 참가자들의 사진을 찍는다든지 아니면 뭐 스크린 캡처를 한다든지 이렇게 다른 참가자들을 기록하는 행위는 굉장히 엄격하게 금지되어 있습니다. 이걸 설사 디베이트 라운드를 뭐 개인적으로 보고 싶어서 녹화한다 이런 것도 금지가 되었기 때문에 이렇게 개인적인 용도로 쓸 것이더라도 녹화하는 것은 자제해 주시길 바랍니다. Debaters should not engage in verbal communication with anyone besides their team members. 네, 이것도 아까 나왔던 내용이지만 준비 시간과 마찬가지로 디베이트 도중에도 이제 팀 구성원들 말고 다른 사람들과 말을 섞거나 아니면 말을 주고받는 행위는 금지되어 있습니다. Team members should not unmute their microphones for any verbal debate reactions, i.e. hear, hear, shame, clapping, hitting the desk. 네, 이제 간혹가다 디베이트를 하는 도중에 뭐 다른 팀 멤버가 무슨 말을 할 때 그걸 응원해 주기 위해서 이렇게 디베이트 시 음소거 해제를 하고 나서 뭐 hear, hear, 뭐 아니면 뭐 이렇게 책상을 친다던가 박수를 친다던가 하는 리액션을 하기 위해 음소거를 해제하는 경우가 있을 수 있는데 이런 경우에 음소거를 해제하시면 안 됩니다. 그래서 이제 본인의 스피치를 하거나 아니면 POI를 할 때를 제외하고는 이렇게 다른 사람이 스피치를 하고 있을 때 음소거를 해제하는 경우가 있어서는 안 되는데 이거는 이제 스피치를 할 때 아무래도 줌에서 디베이트가 이루어지다 보니까 스피치를 한 사람을 제외하고 다른 사람이 음소거를 해제해서 이런 그 반응을 했을 경우에 스피치가 제대로 전달이 안 되는 경우가 발생할 수 있기 때문에 이렇게 스피치를 하지 않는 상황에서 카메라는 켜고 있어야 되지만 음소거를 해제해서 이런 반응을 하는 것은 자제해 주시길 바랍니다. 네, 그리고 라운드 중간에 지켜야 할 사항에 대해서 안내드리겠습니다. End of round, teams exit the Zoom debate room, return to Zoom main hall. 네, 라운드가 모두 끝나고 나서는 팀들은 이제 소회의실에서 나가서 줌 메인 회의실로 돌아가시면 됩니다. Break time, you can move out of the camera angle, take rest, and go to restrooms. Make sure you go to the break during break time, since you cannot go to the restrooms after preparation time starts. 네, 그래서 이제 라운드 중간중간에 있는 쉬는 시간에는 자유롭게 카메라 연결 밖으로 벗어나시거나 아니면 휴식을 취하시거나 뭐 화장실에 가신다던가 아니면 물을 마시신다던가 방 밖으로 출입하셔도 괜찮은데 이때 디베이트 중간에는 화장실에 가거나 아니면 방을 나갈 수 없기 때문에 꼭 준비 시간이 시작하기 전에 쉬는 시간에 이런 개인적인 용무를 해결하시면 좋을 것 같습니다. After round 3, 그리고 after round 4. 그래서 예선 마지막 라운드인 라운드 3이 끝날 때, 그러고 이제 본선 마지막 라운드인 라운드 4가 끝날 때, 이제 다른 기기들은 다 나가셔도 괜찮지만, 한 기기는 줌 이제 메인 홀에 남아 있으시면은 좋을 것 같습니다. 이게 추가적인 혹시 공지가 발생한다던가 아니면은 뭐 중요한 뭐 스케줄상 안내가 나갈 수 있기 때문에 한 기기는 이제 줌 메인 홀에 남아서 계속 접속을 유지한 상태로 있어주시면 감사하겠습니다. 그리고 debaters do not need to stay in one place. 이렇게 하루에 있는 모든 라운드가 끝난 후에 디베이터들은 굳이 같은 장소에 계속 계실 필요는 없습니다. 하지만 뭐 추가적인 공지가 발생할 수 있기 때문에 말씀드린 것처럼 한 기기는 이제 연결할 수 있도록 줌 메인 홀에 계속 접속해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. Recording and video. Debaters must not at any point of the tournament record debate rounds or screen capture any participants. Personal recording is strictly banned. 네, 이것도 방금 말씀드린 것과 마찬가지로 겹치는 내용인데 중요하기 때문에 한 번 더 강조를 드리자면 그 대회 중간 어떤 순간이어도 꼭 디베이트가 아니라 뭐 준비 시간이라든지 아니면 쉬는 시간이라든지 이런 시간에도 개인적인 녹화라든지 디베이트를 녹화한다든지 아니면 다른 참가자들의 사진을 찍는다든지 이런 거는 금지되어 있다는 점을 양해해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. 네, 그리고 debate rounds, including the last elimination rounds for both general and EFL League, will be recorded by the organizing committee and shared on the YTN website after the competition is over. 네, 그리고 이제 디베이트 라운드 중에서 제너럴 리그와 EFL 리그 둘 다 해서 마지막 본선 라운드, 그러니까 그 대회에서 가장 마지막 라운드는 녹화가 저희 올컴 측에서 녹화를 해서 YTN 웹사이트에 그 대회가 끝난 후에 공유를 할 예정입니다. 네, 저희가 원래 이제 코로나 전에 그 대회를 실제로 대면으로 열었을 때는 이제 그 대회를 녹화를 해서 이제 YTN 홈페이지에 올렸는데 마찬가지로 이제 줌 화면을 녹화를 해서 이 마지막 라운드는 YTN 웹사이트에 올릴 예정입니다. 이 점을 유의해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. 네, 그리고 Point of Information, POI. Debaters must raise or wave their hands towards the camera when they want to offer a POI to the speaker. 네, 이제 디베이터들은 그 POI, 이제 대회 중간에, 디베이트 중간에 다른 팀 스피커한테 질문을 이제 주고 싶을 때, 그 POI라고 하죠. 이 POI를 이제, POI를 하고 싶을 때, 그 카메라를 향해서 손을 흔들거나, 아니면은 이제 뭐 손을 이렇게 들거나 하는 방식으로 POI를 이제 할 수 있습니다. Verbal POIs, i.e. shouting out points of information, are not allowed. 네, 이제 이렇게 POI를 할 때 음소거를 해제하고 나서 POI 이렇게 말하는 것은 허용되지가 않습니다. 이건 아까 말씀드린 대로 이제 다른 팀이 스피치를 하고 있을 때 줌의 특성상 이제 음소거를 해제하고 이렇게 말로 POI 이렇게 말할 때 그 스피치가 제대로 전달이 안 될 우려가 있기 때문인데요. 그래서 POI를 상대팀한테 주고 싶을 때는 오직 이렇게 카메라를 통해서 음소거를 해제하지 않은 상태로 이렇게 손을 들거나 아니면 이렇게 손을 이렇게 흔들거나 아니면 종이에 이렇게 POI를 써서 이렇게 카메라 앞에 보여주시거나 하면 될 것 같습니다. Debaters not delivering the speech must mute their microphones. 이제 디베이터들 중에서 아까 말씀드린 것처럼 스피치를 하고 있지 않는 디베이터는 모두 음소거를 한 상태를 유지해 주시면 되겠습니다. 네, 그래서 저희가 이제 그 안내드렸던 내용 중 중요한 내용을 간단히 다시 이제 정리를 해볼 건데요. 네, upon entering the individual Zoom debate room. 네, 이제 줌 디베이트 룸에 처음 경기가 시작하고 들어갔을 때 어떤 일이 있을 건지 그리고 어떤 유의사항이 있는지를 간단히 살펴보겠습니다. Your judge will welcome everyone and introduce him or herself. Serves as an audio test for the judge. 네, 딱 처음에 이제 디베이트 방에 그 드러가 나오고 대진이 나오고 나서 디베이트 소회실에 들어갔을 때 심사위원은 이제 모두한테 이제 이제 팀들이 다 있는지 확인을 한 후에 본인 소개를 할 겁니다. 이제 심사위원이 본인 소개를 할 겁니다. 그럼 그때 이제 이거는 심사위원의 오디오가 제대로 작동하고 있는지를 확인할 수 있는 기회이기 때문에 혹시 이때 심사위원의 오디오가 잘 작동하는지 확인해 주시면 되고 혹시라도 뭐 오디오 문제가 있거나 하면은 심사위원께 말씀드리거나 해결되지 않으면 올컴한테 전달해 주시면 되겠습니다. Your judge will check your camera view. Make sure everyone in the team is visible. No coach or observer should be in the room. 네, 그렇게 이제 심사위원 이 오디오 체크가 끝난 다음에는 이제 심사위원이 카메라가 다 잘 세팅되어 있는지를 확인을 할 건데요. 이때 그 카메라 세 대가 모두 제자리에 있고 그 학생들을 잘 비추고 있는지를 확인을 할 것입니다. 그러고 이제 모두가 보이는지도 확인을 할 거고 그 방 안에 코치나 혹은 뭐 관전을 하고 있는 사람이 없는지도 확인을 할 겁니다. 그래서 만약에 이제 방 안에 코치나 뭐 이렇게 보고 있는 사람이 있다면 나가달라고 부탁을 드릴 건데 그때 이제 팀원들만 있는지 확인을 해야 하고 그때 팀원들만 이제 디베이트가 시작하기 전에 있는지를 있어야 합니다. Your judge will ask you if you need toilet or water break before the motion release. 네, 이제 방 안에서 소회의실 안에서 이제 심사위원이 디베이트 주제를 전달해 드릴 건데 디베이트 주제를 전달해 드리기 전에 혹시라도 팀원들 중에서 화장실을 급히 가야 하거나 물을 마셔야 하거나 또 기타 이유로 잠깐 이제 시간이 필요한지를 물어볼 겁니다. 그럼 혹시 이제 개인적인 용무가 있는 상황이 있으면은 팀 구성원들 학생들께서는 이제 뭐 화장실 잠깐 갔다 온다던가 물을 마신다던가 하고 이런 용무를 해결을 하시면 될 것 같습니다. 이 주제 발표 전에 꼭 화장실을 가야 한다면 갔다 오시길 바랍니다. Your judge will release the motion. 네, 이렇게 모든 게 해결되고 나서 이제 심사위원님께서 모션을 발표를 할 것입니다. 그 디베이트 주제를 발표를 할 것입니다. Your judge will remind everyone to mute all your devices before you start prepping. 네, 그러고 이제 주제가 발표되면 그 후에 즉시 준비 시간이 시작이 되는데요. 이제 준비 시간이 시작이 될 때는 마찬가지로 모든 3개의 기기가 다 음소거 상태인지를 확인을 할 것입니다. 그래서 이제 디베이트를 준비를 하는 동안에도 음소거 상태를 유지해 주시면 되겠습니다. Your judge will remind everyone to make sure that your camera is on. 네, 그러고 나서 이제 심사위원이 카메라가 모두 켜져 있는지를 확인을 할 것인데 준비 시간 동안 말씀드린 대로 계속 카메라를 켜고 있으시면 되겠습니다. 네, after the preparation time is over. 네, 이제 준비 시간이 끝나고 나서에 대해서 간단히 다시 정리를 해드리자면 Your judge will ask you to introduce yourself and speaking position. This will serve as an audio check for your team. 이제 준비 시간이 모두 끝나고 디베이트가 시작하기 전에 심사위원이 그 팀들한테 자기 간단하게 소개를 하고 그리고 어떤 순서로 스피치를 할 것인지에 대해서 소개를 해달라고 부탁을 드릴 겁니다. 즉 이제 뭐 그 첫 번째로 그 연설을 하는 디베이터, 두 번째로 연설을 하는 디베이터 이렇게 포지션을 알려달라고 이제 부탁을 할 건데 이때는 이제 음소거를 해제하고 나서 이제 그 심사위원께 어떤 순서로 그 스피치를 할 건지 말씀을 드리면 되는데 이 과정에서 팀의 오디오가 제대로 작동을 하는지 확인을 하는 기능도 합니다. 그래서 이때 이제 팀이 음소거를 하고 말씀을 해주시면 심사위원께서 이제 오디오가 잘 작동을 하는지 확인을 하고 혹시 문제가 있으면 이제 팀들한테 말씀을 해드려서 이 문제를 해결할 수 있도록 할 것입니다. Your judge will remind you to mute all your devices to avoid feedback noise except for the camera podium to be used by the debater that needs to deliver their speech at the moment. 네, 그래서 이제 또 디베이트 중간에는 그 스피치를 전달하고 있는 카메라 말고 다른 기기들은 모두 음소거 상태를 유지를 해야 하고 이렇게 해달라고 이제 심사위원께서 부탁을 드릴 건데 이는 이제 뭐 방 안에서 아무래도 기기가 많다 보니까 뭐 이렇게 울림이 있다든지 아니면은 다른 소리가 잡음이 들어가서 스피치가 잘 안 들리다든지 이런 상황을 방지하기 위함이어서 다른 그 스피치를 전달하는 기기 말고 다른 기기들은 모두 음소거 상태를 유지해 주시면 되겠습니다. After the debate is over. 네, 디베이트가 끝나고 나서 어떻게 해야 되는지 간단하게 말씀을 드릴 건데 Your judge will remind everyone not to drop out of the Zoom call until verdict is given. 네, 디베이트가 이제 끝났다고 해서 줌을 바로 나가시면 안 되고 이 디베이트가 끝나고 나서 이제 그 심사위원께서 결과 전달, 즉 승패를 전달하시기 전까지는 모두 디베이트 그 한 소회의실 안에서 남아 계시면 되겠습니다. 그래서 소회의실 나가지 마시고 디베이트가 끝나고 나서도 그 줌회의 안에서 그대로 계시면은 이제 그 심사위원이 좀 생각할 시간을 가지고 나서 결과를 정리하고 발표를 하게 됩니다. Your judge will provide you with the verdict. 네, 그렇게 해서 이제 디베이트가 끝나고 심사위원이 결과를 결정을 하고 나서 이제 승패를 전달을 해드리고 결과를 말씀을 드릴 겁니다. 그러면 이제 그 결과와 왜 그런 결과에 도달했는지 그리고 팀들한테 뭐 어떻게 하면 더 잘할 수 있을지 피드백을 주실 건데 이거를 잘 듣고 이거에 대해서 이제 피드백을 작성해 주시면 되겠습니다. 그래서 네, 세 번째로 마찬가지로 Your judge will remind you to do the judge feedback. 네, 이거는 아까 말씀드린 것처럼 이제 심사가 다 끝나고 나서 그 피드백을 그 심사위원에 대한 피드백도 이제 제출해 주시면 되는데 이제 심사위원이 이렇게 혹시라도 까먹지 않도록 저지 피드백을 제출해 달라고 이제 부탁을 드릴 겁니다. 그러면은 이제 심사위원회 심사라든지 뭐 어떻게 피드백이 어떻게 진행되었는지 이런 점을 종합적으로 고려해서 저지가 어땠는지에 대해서 피드백을 제출해 주시면 되겠습니다. Remember to stay inside your breakout rooms even if your room has received feedback. You will be automatically moved back to the main hall once all the rooms finish the round. 네, 이건 이제 디베이트가 끝나고 심사가 끝나고 나서 모든 게 끝나고 나서 이제 바로 소회의실 나가시기보다는 그냥 그 소회의실 안에서 계속 남아 있으면 그 모든 방들이 다 이제 심사가 끝난 후에 소회의실은 자동으로 닫힐 거기 때문에 굳이 디베이트가 끝나고 뭐 메인 홀로 바로 나갈 필요가 없이 소회의실 안에서 기다리고 계시면은 이제 자동으로 메인 홀로 다시 이제 이동이 될 예정이기 때문에 그냥 디베이트가 끝나고 피드백이 끝나고 잠시 소회의실 안에서 기다려 주시면 감사하겠습니다. 네, 여기까지가 CAP 브리핑이었는데 이제 여기까지가 한국어로 이제 말씀드린 CAP 브리핑이었고 이제 그 메인 홀에서 다시 Q&A 세션이랑 간단한 공지사항이 전달될 예정이기 때문에 해당 소회의실에 나가가지고 이제 그 메인 룸으로 돌아가 주시면 감사하겠습니다.